Hello, everyone. I'm back. Stepped
Welcome
away
back.
for a little bit, and it's good to be back. Today, we're going to be talking a bit about wallet fatigue and the mass amount of product that Hasbro has been releasing, specifically Wizards of the Coast.
And is it really a bad thing?
We've got the Hasbro reports growth. This is like a statement that they released. They do the quarterly earnings standard thing. This is public knowledge. This is directly on Hasbro's website. You guys are welcome to, we can link it in the comments if you really want to read it, but this is basically just generic information about their earnings, and we're not delving deep into it. We're not investors, but we're going to use it as just kind of like a generic, maybe this is the reason why they're actually pushing out so much product, and Rob's been looking into this a bit more, so take it away.
I've been listening to a lot of the other content creators out there covering basically the same idea about the plethora of products that are coming out recently that we haven't seen traditionally in the past with Magic. I believe that most people agree that what you're seeing on the screen here with the quarterly earnings, the profits that they're wanting to boost up for Magic and Hasbro are driving the decision to put out the number of products, the pace of products, the variety of products. And you can see it's pretty effective. I mean, it shows right here that they're up 54% to 1.32 billion. This is not chump change. You know, people are taking notice. And a large part of that is the Wizards of the Coast and digital gaming segment that they've more than doubled their revenue just in the past quarter alone. So that's a significant driver for what the direction that WotC is taking with the products.
Yeah, I get conflicted about. I mean, obviously, we want product because product is new cards to play with. Product is new cards to talk about and mainly play with, but also as content creators, also more stuff to talk about. But for me, mainly, I mean, I'm a gamer. I play all kinds of different games, and you kind of hit it on the head that I want to believe that they're releasing the product for us. They're releasing it to give us new toys to play with and really for the people. But when you see this much revenue, it's hard to look away from that. They're making hand over fist tons of money. Is that their main reason? Who knows? Hopefully not.
It has to be. Like,
Well,
any company, in order to stay solvent and competitive, you know, you got to continue to grow.
right.
And the way that they're growing is by releasing more. If you look back at the beginning of MTG's history, you can see they didn't release a ton of product. You know, it was new, obviously. And as the years rolled by, you know, they didn't really have this massive amount of products. Look at 1996 with just 4. But you can see starting in 2015, 16, and, you know, getting up into 17, so far 2020, look at that. I mean, compared to the first 10 or 15 years, that looks like 3 years combined to me. And 2021 is starting off that way. We're not even through it yet, and it's starting to look pretty close to what we're seeing in 2020. So there's an obvious change when you look at it. You know, when I first started in Magic, it was definitely trying to get complete sets. Like, I wanted play sets of complete sets of everything that came out.
I've never been like that.
And you know, there's lots of different
Right.
personality types in Magic. You know, you have the completionists. You have this is what I talked about before with the investors, collectors, and players. I think that this definitely does lean more towards the player base to get more product to different toys to play with, though it might even be a little detrimental to that you get so many toys so fast that you really don't have the chance to play with all the new toys. There's just too many of them to try to put them all together. And when we say new toys, let's talk about, you know, new cards, new card combos that you barely have time to get the synergies going with one set when they're released a month apart before you're already exposed to the new set, trying to figure out the synergies there, and it changes the meta because 1 or 2 new cards are added, and it just changed this whole deck idea that you've been brewing.
And what's interesting that I'm just thinking about when I first started playing Magic, I remember that I played casually for a bit, then I stopped for years, and then when I got back into it, and that was my biggest stretch of time. That's when I just played Standard. I played nothing else but Standard, and to me, at the time, I'm like, everything else but Standard doesn't matter to me. So when I was playing in that time, it felt good because it was only a Standard set, I think, every 3 months, and I think they still do that now. It's only until now where I've started getting back into Magic. I'd say the last 3 or 4 months, I've been playing so much Magic. I've got Oscar Commander deck here. I've got this is the Averna Commander deck. I've got a total, I think, of like 8 Commander decks now. I've been playing Magic every Wednesday and Thursday. Like, I've actually gotten the bug that I had initially when I first joined the channel has been like, now it's not a bug anymore. Now it's just like a full-blown disease, which is great. It feels good.
You know, you touch on something, and without even like really calling attention to it before, you have to kind of look at Magic through a different lens. I do believe that Commander is the format of preference for most people out there playing. I know that when I sit down to play, I'd much rather play Commander. And so when you use it with that lens, and it's an eternal format, right?
Yeah.
So going from Standard, where everything's in this bubble, you know, that kind of like with the new AFR set, that it's great in this little bubble, but when you apply it to a bigger scope of the Standard set, it's a different vantage point. And when you look at it from the viewpoint of EDH or Commander, where you're adding to this giant pool of cards, right, it makes it a little more challenging for an eternal format with the speed of the product coming out and changing those formats, that you barely have time to adjust and tune before you've already got new combinations to have to try to contend with, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, you know, you have all these different flavors of the same card. Some of them have up to like 6 or 7 different versions of the exact same card, with the, you know, the regular card, the foil card, the borderless card, the borderless foil card, the sketch or whatever showcase version, the
Mystical
retro
Archive.
version.
Yeah.
And that's all within the same set. You could have 8 literal versions or more of the exact same card, right? So if you're trying to collect it and even put it into your deck, it might take you time to get there or wait for prices to adjust. You know, it's a kind of dizzying balancing act.
Another thing it does is it devalues, and I don't really care that much about value, but I remember always wanting full art variants of cards. Now that we have 8 different versions, that part of me, I'm like, this is sick. I want to have the ability to go on to whatever site or go to whatever my local gaming store and be like, hey, what different versions do you have? And I pick the best one. But like you said, when you're trying to collect a set of something, if you're a completionist, this has to be detrimental to you.
And you touched on something else. Like, I'm a collector for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I certainly have a collecting problem. I'm running out of space, and I'm running out of money too. You know, that I'm going to have to start picking and choosing. And I think that that's really not WotC's fault, right? They need to make money, and if they're making money, then they're doing the right thing. They're going to stay solvent. They're going to keep producing Magic, which is what I ultimately want. I assume everybody watching this channel is also rooting for the game. We all have different opinions about how that should happen, but I think that all of us universally agree that we want the game to continue on in the future. I can't imagine anybody watching this video wants the game to fail. That would be somewhat odd.
Yeah.
But hey, whatever reason you're watching, thanks for watching. So at any rate, the point that I was trying to make is that they're giving us essentially what we've been asking for. The cards aren't super expensive, right? There's all those people out there that want to play and have the cards available for reasonable prices, just like the reprinting recently of all the fetch lands, because those have been such a high demand card in the Magic world. And with Modern Horizons 2, they have really increased the number of available fetch lands out there. Not only that, the flavors of them. So it is like going a la carte. We are getting a buffet style. Now it's going to be up to us not to eat everything on the buffet.
Right.
You know, you're going to have to pick and choose exactly what you want. And is that necessarily a bad thing?
For me, I think it's a fantastic thing, and I actually really, really enjoy the collector's sets. When I opened the collector's Icorias, I love that art of Ikoria, and I loved that was my favorite box to open. And I think that maybe the prices are a smidge too high, and I don't know how much money it costs them to make the boxes, and if it merits that much of an increase. Maybe it has to, because otherwise it would devalue everything else to the point of not being worth it, and then everybody would just go for the collector's boxes.
You know, really, the professor's been saying this as long as I've been watching his videos. Buy singles. Like, if you don't want that slot machine, pull the handle, gambling on getting something great, and then the feel bad when it absolutely, Chuck Norris in the
decimates you.
I've had some of that. Like, I had one publicly on stream that I bought a collector pack that was just abysmal. It felt like that. But I mean, that's the gamble. And if I had just taken that same amount of money, I could have bought a fetch land. Like, just bought it straight out, rather than getting a bunch of janky stuff that I didn't really want out of that experience. But I was happy to support the channel that I was on, and that's mainly why I did it. But if you're just looking for straight value or wanting to get specific cards, I'm going to have to echo the professor's sentiment. Buy this thing, especially in today's world. Buy your targeted cards that you want.
I remember seeing an article saying that Wizard of the Coast is increasing prices in the third and fourth quarter. And as we're sitting here talking about it, we look at their freaking earnings report. Why? They're up 54%, making hand over fist, doubling their revenue. Why the hell? And this is a direct quote. This is a direct quote from, "We are implementing price increases during the third quarter that should fully realize by the fourth quarter. We expect this to offset the rising costs in freight and commodities we continue to see across the business. We are also working to ensure product availability during the holiday season. We may experience some shifts in delivery dates and timing of revenue, but we are leveraging our global footprint and scale to meet demand. This includes sourcing more products earlier out of multiple countries, increasing the number of ocean carriers we work with, and utilizing more ports to expedite the delivery of our products from their origin to their destination points." Most people aren't in a place to pay more money for a luxury, and this is a luxury. So that's weird. Well, it's really weird to me. It feels like they're so out of touch. They're like making more money. They're like, we can make more money. It feels right.
They're making more money for lots of different reasons. Like you said, we didn't do a deep dive into the financial analysis of it, but I do know that they have, that the Postal Service has increased their prices like 4 times in the last year alone. I did
hear that.
And if you're a secondary seller, you're going to feel that pinch. Taxes are going up across the board. Tariffs have come into play. Now, if you put all of these things into perspective and you look at the fact that it's a global company that does, outsource printing of their cards, and they do have to ship things overseas, and now they have to deal with more tariffs, and with the pandemic, everything's at a premium for anybody who's willing to do physical work, because people weren't going back to work. So there's a backlog of every product in the world, not just Magic, that Magic is now affected by. Not that I'm trying. I'm certainly not a company man. I'm not backed by. Our channel is not backed by anybody. No, it all comes out of our pocket. If anybody does want to sponsor us, fantastic. Give us a holler. We do this for the love of the game. But when you look at it and you try to put it in with this perspective, if you look at the original MSRP of $295, to be almost 30 years down the road, that it's only gone up $1 a pack.
Right.
Like, inflation has way outpaced that number.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at it, it's almost farcical. Like, back then, when I remember in 1993 when I was buying gas on base, it was like $1 a gallon for gas, and we've seen gas up as high as $4. It's currently around $3. This is the filming of this video where we are a gallon, and packs are definitely not $9 a pack for a standard pack, which would be keeping pace with like gas. Or look at ground beef, which was like $1 a pound back then. It's now like $5 a pound. If you look at it in terms of that. Now, granted, those are necessities, and like you said, this is a luxury, so it's going to have to fit in with where people's budgets are. However, to only go up $1 is a very meager increase in cost over a 30-year span.
Whenever a company does something like this, where they tout that they've made millions of dollars or billions of dollars, it kind of, and then they later on say that they're going to increase the prices, whether or not they're meritable or not. It's kind of a slap in the face I don't know.
It's not.
It feels
really,
weird
because
to me.
this is now we're starting to get into macroeconomics, right? And I'm just going to touch on this very, very briefly here. Hasbro's a publicly traded company,
Yeah.
right? So people that don't game at all want to see these type of postings. They want to see increased revenue. They want to see price increases. It gives confidence to investors to buy the stock, right? Now, I mean, I'm not going to get into that because I'm not an MBA.
Yeah,
I do invest in the stock market. I don't have any Hasbro. So understand that in order to keep this solvent, we all should be rooting for both Wizards and Hasbro to be doing well. Because let me tell you, if those numbers were opposite and you put minuses in front of those, there wouldn't be very many Magic products coming out and probably stop it altogether. Because now you're talking about a giant corporation and they're going to cut dead weight. They would not hesitate to stop producing this game and back whatever their big moneymaker is. That's just economics. So
Right.
I am not going to hate on them for that pure and simple fact. I want to continue to see more products coming out. Maybe not at the pace that they're coming out, because it's me as a collector, it's making me short circuit. However, I do want to see the company continue to do well so that it'll continue to be played.
So yeah, it's not that bad. And if they raise the price by 10% or 15%, it's you're probably right. And keep in mind, everyone that's watching, that this is just our opinions, and we're just voicing them as just part of the community. So take everything we say with a grain of salt. We're just speculating and using information that we have at our disposal with very little research. And sound off down in the comments and let us know what you guys think. If you guys agree with us, cool. If you disagree, cool. Let us know.
How do you feel about the amount and variety, with all the different flavors and special secret layers and whatnot? How do you guys feel about that? Do you think that this is a good direction to continue to pump out a lot of what everybody is looking for? The special versions and the cheaper prices for the current modern and standard cards, availability of products. Do you think it should continue in the direction that it's going? So one of the things that Matt and I have been talking about is potentially expanding our content.
Yeah, I play a lot of different board games, and so does Rob. Rob really likes board games. And I think that sharing that stuff with you guys, if you guys are interested, would be cool. So we've kind of kicked the idea around to be, branching out and doing other things and providing more content for you guys of more things that we love, video games included. So if you guys are interested, comment down below. Let us know what you guys are interested in. So yeah, if you're interested, let us know in the comments. And hope you guys enjoyed.
Thanks for joining, everybody.